Have you ever known anybody who lived a double life? I mean, you hear those stories in the news sometimes of a man who may have had a wife and kids in one part of the country, and maybe he was a businessman and he traveled and he had another wife and family in another part of the country, and neither knew the other family existed until something brought them together, some sort of incident. Well, today I'm going to tell you the story of someone I know who lived a double life, per se, and ultimately how that affected others. You don't want to miss this episode. Stay tuned. Well, howdy, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Patriot's Revival Podcast. I'm so excited that you've decided to join us again this week. Now, this week, I want to tell you a story about living a double life, basically. Someone I know essentially lived a double life in a roundabout kind of way. Now, you hear stories about people, read an article about a man who maybe had a wife and kids on the West Coast, and maybe he was a businessman, and yet he was leading a double life, and he had a wife and kids on the East Coast, and he would go back and forth, and then maybe by some incident or some chance, of course, we've learned that there's no such thing as chance. It's all part of God's providential arrangement that they would meet or they would find out about this double life that somebody was living. So I'm going to tell you a story about how I knew somebody who was living kind of a double life, and we're going to just call him William. So William worked for the company that I work for, and he worked for me in an indirect way. And y'all, I have to tell you that William was a very different individual. William was a very angry individual. William would let you know if he didn't like something. He was also very disrespectful to people like me and people in positions of authority. He was disrespectful and discourteous to his coworkers and others. And believe me, if he didn't like something, he would come and tell you about it. Everybody knew when William was in the building. Now, he was a driver, so he delivered product to our customers for us. And so he wasn't always in the office, but when he was, and when he was not happy about something, he would come in and it was like a tornado hit the office because you would hear him coming, and he would be loud and he would be boisterous and he would get in your face if he didn't like the route that you were putting him on, or he was arguing with you about something, a safety issue or a new rule or whatever it might be. He would get in your face and shake his finger at you and tell you what he thought. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to pop in and share with you why I am using Zebra products. First up, it's the toothpaste. I absolutely love this toothpaste. It keeps my smile bright and healthy with a refreshing flavor that lasts all day, and it's made with clean, natural ingredients, no icky stuff. And then Zebra Floss, it's a game changer. I'm a flosser. I like that it is not made of plastic, that it is made of silk, and it just glides throughout my teeth. All clean, natural ingredients, so you know it's safe. And then finally, I use Zebra's deodorant. It keeps me feeling fresh and confident all day long without any harsh chemicals. Just, again, clean, natural ingredients, because we're learning that there's some really bad stuff in our self-care products. So if you want to try out Zebra products, go to YayZebra, Y-A-Y, zebra.com, and enter Patriot Revival in the code to get 10% off. I am a user of Zebra products, have been for about a year now. Give them a try. He was also very much a penny pincher. If you messed anything up with hours or whatever it might be, boy, howdy, he would be in your office and he would tell you. One time he yelled and screamed at me and even cussed at me because his paycheck was shorted 34 cents. 34 cents, y'all. This man, it was just angry, and he didn't laugh much. When he would come in, it would almost make everybody so uptight because he was so uptight, and he would scream and yell and be angry and cuss at you, and just not a good situation. And I tried to get to know him as best as I could. I knew that he had a wife and two daughters. I knew that he liked to ride a motorcycle. He had a motorcycle, and I knew that he liked to do that on the weekends and whatnot. But that's really all I knew about him. Otherwise, he was all about work, 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 money, money, money. He was very financial driven, and that's great. that's great because he was one of our hardest working individuals in our fleet. But y'all, he would come in the office and he would just get so uptight. And especially when you put him on something he didn't want to do, and he would start yelling and screaming, and his face would get red, and you would see the veins kind of coming through. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, one day this guy's going to have a heart attack. I hope he doesn't drop down and have a heart attack. But he would scream and yell, and you really couldn't reason with him. Even just trying to talk with him in this manner, you really couldn't get anywhere with him. And I tried, I really tried. I would pray about God, please soften William's heart and please let's be an example to William. But speaking of me being concerned about him having a heart attack, I knew he liked to go on cruises. He and his wife, and then one of our other drivers that he'd become friends with, the four of them, they would go on cruises together. And one day I got a call that he had had a heart attack on the cruise when he was with his wife and the other driver and his wife, and died. In fact, our other driver mentioned that he had to try to give him mouth to mouth. He tried to resuscitate him. He tried to do everything he could to save him, but he was gone. And so fast forward to a week or so later, and it came time for his funeral. Some of our staff, myself included, and other management, we of course went to his funeral. We wanted to go and pay our respects to William's family. And y'all, it was shocking what I learned at the funeral. And as I read the obituary, I had no idea that this man was a Mason in that, the Masons that do things for people. I also learned that he was a Shriner. And this really got me because it said William was committed to his faith and served as an usher and member of the parish council at Holy Angels Catholic Church. The part that really got me is William was committed to his faith. And as I was a little shocked when I read this obituary because I knew nothing of this with William in his life. I didn't really see evidence of that. He didn't really talk about his faith. He didn't really talk about being a Mason or a Shriner or being involved in his church. And so I sat there in the funeral. It was a Catholic funeral because obviously he was a Catholic. It mentioned in his obituary, and just people getting up and saying all these wonderful things about William and saying how he did all of these things for people in the community who were in need and orphan children and helped raise money for them and contributed to, I think, a home or something that would give orphans a home, and just really singing his praises. And y'all, I'm not saying he didn't do these things. So we get out of the funeral, and some of us that went to the funeral together, I think we went to lunch afterwards, and it was very quiet. Nobody really said much. And we got sat down and we ate our food. And finally, I broke the silence and I said, well, I don't know about you guys, but that is not the William that I knew. And then everybody started to open up. Everybody started sharing. Yeah, they had no idea that he was a Mason. They had no idea that he was a Shriner. They had no idea that he was involved, that he even went to church, that he was involved in his church, and that he was on their parish council of this Catholic church, and that he had helped all these orphans and done all of these things. And so I'm glad to know I wasn't the only one. But folks, essentially, that's when I realized William lived a double life. William was one way at work, and he was obviously another way in his personal life. But is that what God calls us to do? God calls us to be salt and light in a world of darkness. And in fact, in Matthew 5:14-16, it says, "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father." And this really made an impact on me. And even though William passed away, it's probably been, my gosh, it's probably been 7 or 8 years now. He came to mind because I'm really trying to make a conscious effort to let others see Jesus in me. Whether I'm talking to somebody who is pouring out their heart and saying they don't know where they're gonna turn, they don't know how they're gonna get through a trial or tribulation, and then I can let others see Jesus in me by sharing with them how he has gotten me through that trial or tribulation. Or maybe it's just something as simple as not using bad language and being kind and being courteous and being respectful to others to let others see Jesus in me. When you think about this passage in Matthew 5, I reference Tony Evans a lot. I've mentioned that I like the Tony Evans Bible commentary, and something I want to read to you from Matthew 5. Tony Evans' commentary says, in other words, you're not to be a private Christian. Your faith must go public. There are to be no covert, secret agent Christians in the church. Are you a light among your family and acquaintances? Are you a light at work and at the gym? Are you a light in your culture and in your community? To hide a light is contradictory to its purpose. So let your light shine. You must shine so that people may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Non Christians are capable of doing good things. So, what does Jesus mean by good works? Good works are connected to the kingdom work of God. A good work is a righteous and biblically authorized action that is beneficial to others and for which God gets the credit. So, unless God is a part of it, it's not a good work. It's merely a good thing. Our good works are accomplished so that we may glorify, that is, highlight or put on display and make a big deal of God. Again, folks, I'm not knocking William. But I didn't see that in William, and I think about that a lot, and it almost haunts me, and I think I don't want that to be me when I go on and if maybe just my connect group, my Bible study group, or just my church family or my family says things about me, but yet my work family or maybe some other friends and acquaintances, I don't want them coming away saying, "That is not the Melody that I knew. That is not the person that I knew." So I want to make sure that we as Christians, me and you, that we let others see Jesus in us all the time. That we're not just Sunday Christians, that we are letting our light shine 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I want to share with you in closing a song that was one of my favorites growing up. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church and we sang these old hymns and had the piano and the organ. In fact, my granny played the organ in our church for a good long time. And one of my favorite songs was an old Baptist hymn written by Bayless Benjamin McKinney. He wrote this song in 1924. And it is called Let Others See Jesus in You. And I'm going to read the lyrics to you, and I want you to think about them. The first verse says, while passing through this world of sin, and others your life shall view, be clean and pure without, within, let others see Jesus in you. And the chorus is, let others see Jesus in you, let others see Jesus in you. Keep telling the story, be faithful and true, let others see Jesus in you. The second verse gets even better. It says, your life's a book before their eyes. They're reading it through and through. Say, does it point them to the skies? Let others see Jesus in you. Third verse says, what joy 'twill be at set of sun, the mansions beyond the blue, to find some souls that you have won. Let others see Jesus in you. And then the fourth verse is, then live for Christ both day and night. Be faithful, be brave and true, and lead the lost to life and light. Let others see Jesus in you. Folks, I really hope that you are not just a Sunday Christian. I'm trying myself not to be a Sunday Christian. We've got to let our light shine. Think about Matthew 5:14, that again says, you are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. How are people going to come to know Christ? Don't you know that they can come to know you through your actions and through your words, how you carry yourself? Folks, your altar call this week is to really think about your life. I know you don't want to think about when your death comes, but think about what's going to be said about you after you're gone. Are people going to come away from your funeral saying, oh my gosh, I never knew that person. I never knew that they were a Christian. I never knew that they were part of a Bible study group, or I never knew that they helped the homeless, or they did this or they did that. Because maybe you are a different person. You're living a double life like William was. And do you want that? No, I don't think that you do. God calls us to let others see him in us. So think about your life. Maybe write out your obituary and think about what people would say, and think about all the different people that are in your lives, and realize, would this story be consistent amongst everybody? If that story about your life was told today, would everybody that you know that about you? And when I say know that, would they know about your faith? Would people really know about your faith? All the people that you come in contact with. So I encourage you to really think about the way you live your life. Think about, if your story were to be told today, would others see Jesus in you? That's all we have for you on this week's episode of Patriots Revival. I'm so happy that you've decided to join us. I hope you have an awesome week. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, please follow us and tell others. If today's show revived your faith and your inner patriot, join the Patriots Revival Facebook group by going to facebook.com/groups/Patriots Revival for resources on how to get involved in being salt and light in a world of darkness. Finally, if you would like to contribute to the production costs of the Patriots Revival podcast, you can do so through Zelle by inputting info@patriotsrevival.com as the recipient. Thanks again for listening. I hope you have a reviving week.